Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Fish Jelly.
Yeah, sure in the hell is.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Okay. I'd like to thank the people who continue to sponsor the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
If you feel moved to do so, you can go to Spotify and give us some money. And while you're there, you can also rate the podcast or on Apple Music. I feel like that's important. So I'm told. So you can just go and like give a star rating.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to write like an actual review. You can just give the star rating. So if the spirit moves you to do that as well, we thank you kindly. Moving on to a RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 8.
Yeah.
So you missed an episode because you were
Is indisposed.
You were indisposed, but you watched the last episode, which was the Fame Game Extravaganza.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
It happened. I mean, it was another thing, a parade of increasingly empty gestures that I don't know that they mean anything whatsoever. But yes, that happened.
So all of the eliminated queens had to come back and do like a talent. Did any stick out to you?
Lala Ree. James Mansfield did stick out. And Jessica Wilde.
I would say those were the top three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they all did sort of lip syncs to like original songs.
Poor Santa Monica, Beverly Hills. That poor thing.
Culver City, Baldwin Hills.
She just made it's Monica Beverly Hills.
It's
right?
Monica Beverly Hills.
I don't know why in my head it's Santa Monica Beverly Hills because those two cities are abutted. But I don't know. She just makes me feel sad.
She just doesn't have any charisma. She's beautiful.
She makes me feel like she should be the lead in a sad indie film about her life. Like looking at her, I'm just like, oh, you're just not going to get the top prize. I don't know.
Yeah, she lip synced to an original song that was very dry, and she had no energy to her.
She had little energy. The audio was also strange.
It was very strange, yeah. Naysha Lopez did a flamenco dance that was so... It was very like nursing home.
I didn't need it.
Like I don't want to throw my back out or
also
hurt my plantar fasciitis.
Also walking out there as in her boy form with that facial hair that made me think of Alan Arkin playing that Puerto Rican.
Yeah, actually. Mrs. Kasha Davis did she did a lip sync, but it was to a song that was more like an uplifting, like protest, a
social protest song. I received emails about requesting to interview her for the release of this song.
Yeah, which would have been very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I can only imagine you trying to interview her about that song.
Oh no, that would have been a burning hotel fire. This way.
Darian Lake did stand up, which I thought was funny. She looks great.
Yeah,
like her makeup skills.
That bitch can paint.
Yeah, she looks really good. Kahana Montrese did because I guess her background is in cheerleading.
Mm-hmm.
So she did like an original song with like a cheerleading routine that I thought was cute.
It was cute. She likes those wigs that make her look like a villain, like a Japanese ghost.
Well, she seems obsessed with very long, straight hair, which proves to be cumbersome every time she wears it. So I don't know. But
it's cumbersome because she moves.
Yeah, she's a mover, but obviously she's on the Las Vegas stage on a regular basis because she's in that RuPaul's Drag Race Live show. So she's definitely like comfortable on stage. Alexis Michelle did live singing. She can sing.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but she did like a burlesque performance talking about apples that I thought was a little dry.
In homage to Gypsy.
Jimbo and Candy Muse are in the top two. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have, and they weren't expected to compete, but they were allowed to perform. So Jimbo did like a striptease while making a banana split sundae, which was amusing.
His body, basically.
Yeah. And then Candy Muse, this one was really weird because Candy Muse lip synced to an original song, but like someone else was singing it.
Yep.
As if they were her.
Yeah.
And then it was her voice that like on the chorus, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought that was really strange.
It's very strange. Also, I find it strange that I've watched a whole nother series where I've had to withstand Candy Muse. Uh, I don't know what the rule world is coming to. I just that she is in the top 2 again. Oh no.
Moving on. Do you remember back in 2015 that picture of the blue and black dress, and people were like, "Is it white and gold or blue and
Oh
black?"
yeah,
Do you remember that?
yeah.
So the man, the woman who posted that picture, she's the mother-in-law of this man, Keir Johnston from Scotland. He was recently charged with trying to kill his wife, but
So the
the son-in-law,
of the lady that posted that picture.
yeah, is has been charged with trying to kill his wife, which is very, I guess, random and tangential. But why I'm bringing it up, what I thought was interesting, is that he's being charged with attempted murder not because of one incident, but because of an 11-year campaign of domestic violence, which I
Oh.
thought was very interesting. Basically, like highlighting all the times that he assaulted her that are on record. And they're saying that when you add it all together, this man was trying to kill his wife. Like his actions show that he's trying to, like, I guess, fatally harm her. And so I thought that was very interesting. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, what to me, like, that does make sense. Like, if you're in an abusive relationship and this person keeps getting, you know, a slap on the wrist, can you add it all up? Like, cumulatively, this person has been a monster to me, and one could argue that they were trying to kill me. I mean, this is in another country, so maybe that's how the law is. But it caught my attention in that regard, that he's being charged with attempted murder over uh, the culmination of like all of this abuse.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. We've talked about Erewhon a lot, so I thought we should do a review because we got to try a bunch of items. So I want
Sure.
to know what you think about these.
Uh,
Okay. So first, we tried a slice of their coconut cake. This is some $10, like it's a little slice of cake for $10. What did you think of the coconut cake?
that was good. I liked it.
Okay. Then we also got the $10 slice of carrot cake.
That was just okay. I make an infinitely better carrot cake myself, but that's just me.
So I actually really liked the carrot cake.
Oh, okay. Mm.
It was very spicy,
Yeah, there
and I
was.
didn't taste, because sometimes it's like you can taste the fibrous carrot, like you could taste the shredded carrots, which isn't gross, but it's like my
It,
mom did some carrot shit a while back, and it was very like, it almost tasted like healthy breakfast
that
bars.
was no good. Yeah,
I didn't like that. I
but
mean, it wasn't inedible, but it just
no, but it
wasn't
wasn't.
dessert.
No, yeah, it felt like it should have been dried out more and eaten as cereal. But
Yeah, but this one I actually preferred the carrot cake over the coconut cake.
oh, really?
But I thought the coconut cake was delicious.
Uh,
If I went back and got it again, I would choose the carrot cake over the
I
coconut.
think you're just abused because you're used to carrot cake with raisins and can never buy it because of that.
Perhaps I think what I liked the most was it almost tasted like, because our mom used to make spice cake,
Hmm.
and this kind of tasted more like that.
I think
But
that's my complaint. Actually,
oh,
tasted.
you didn't like the
No,
spiciness.
it's not like I didn't like it. I don't know that it felt like a classic carrot cake to me. But
Yeah, I don't know that I love classic carrot cake.
oh
Maybe
well, there you go.
so.
Okay. There's the rub.
Okay, I tried finally the Haley Bieber smoothie.
I did not have this.
You didn't. So so I thought that was a joke, like it was a different smoothie that people would just call, but no, this lady has an item on the menu. It's called the Haley Bieber strawberry glaze. It's almond milk, dates, it has like some vanilla collagen protein shit in it, some sea moss, coconut maple syrup, I can't say that word, hyaluronic acid, of course there's strawberries in it, avocado, stevia. It was delicious.
Oh, okay.
It's $18.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I don't know that I would pay $18 again for that, or I didn't pay for it in the first place, but I don't know that I would pay $18.
Okay.
But it was very good. Would I pay like $10? Yes.
I have a question. Does she do anything besides being the daughter of somebody somewhat notable and married to someone more notable?
Well, we've talked about this before. It's not easy being beautiful,
Uh-huh.
so that does take some work.
No, I
No,
don't.
I don't know what this lady
That
does
that she
except
should
being the child of a famous person and married to an even more famous person.
I agree that it keeps it is work staying in shape and keeping yourself together mentally and physically, but we're talking about some basic minimum. But why she should have an expensive shake named after her?
Well, I'm assuming she has spent a lot of money at Erewhon. She probably grew up only eating at Erewhon. I mean, I don't know.
Sure, I find it annoying that there's a shake named after her, but
Okay, we tried the chicken curry sandwich. That was a chop.
Nope.
$15 for this fruit and nut. So it's like a fruit and nut bread that was very dry.
Too dry and doesn't work well as sandwich bread because it doesn't move itself around the ingredients in the sandwich when your fingers are on it.
Yeah, I didn't hate the bread, but I was expecting something more soft.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chicken curry, it was chicken curry salad. So I think the flavor was okay and the chicken was fine, but then it had those golden raisins, and
Yep.
you know I hate raisins.
Yeah, I do.
Then we got the Mad Wrap. So the Mad Wrap, there are two versions. These are $16 sandwiches. But the version we had was the collard green wrap. So there is no bread, there's no tortilla. It's actually one big ass collard green leaf that's folded into a wrap. And then inside of the wrap is turkey breast, avocado, cannellini beans, kale, pumpkin seed, hemp seed, Dijon mustard, all that. I didn't like it at all because I think all you could taste was the collard, and the collard green's not cooked. So all you can, and the kale's raw. So all you taste is the raw collard green and kale, which I don't mind. I mean, I like greens and kale, but I think that's all you could taste.
I liked it. I think it could have done with maybe a little more meat. I can agree with that criticism, but it tasted. I like collard greens a lot, and kale. I like too, but I don't know. That just worked for me, I think.
We had the chocolate chaga muffin. You had some of that.
I had the tiniest little bit of that.
I didn't mind it. It had like a cinnamon kick to it. It was only $5. I mean, you know, a muffin from Vaughn's is $2, and it's bigger. So do I think this is worth $5? Maybe $3. And then you didn't have it, but I had the keto blueberry muffin. I thought it was good. I don't know that I would spend $5 for it. Lastly, we had the Asian chicken salad. That was an $18 pre-made sandwich.
$17.50.
That was the best thing, I think.
That was good. That was
the food items.
Not worth that much.
It felt expensive.
Mm-hmm.
When we were checking out, the lady was like, "Oh, do you want to sign up for the like reward?"
Some reward program.
So I thought, oh, it's like every other grocery store,
like Ralph's
or Vaughn's, where you just give your phone number and you collect points. So when she asked, you looked at me and I was like, sure.
I was like, I don't want to talk to these people.
So then she starts explaining it, and she knows these employees probably know that this is some bullshit, because the first thing she did is go, okay, well, we have two plans. And the minute she said plan and that there were options, I knew it wasn't free.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a plan that covers everything in the store.
$200 a month.
Or the plan that covers like just the prepared food. And I guess the difference is like $100 versus $200. I'm assuming that's per year.
Is it per year?
Well, she didn't. The minute she said any dollar amount, I checked out. Mm-hmm. It can't be per month, but maybe it could be with these prices.
With these fools.
So of course she said the price, and then she goes, "Are you still interested in that?"
Hell no.
And I said, "Hell no." Yeah,
I'd be lucky if I go walk into one of them once a year.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah. Well, the only benefit to it is it's across the street from a place we like to eat. So I guess if I felt like I wanted dessert, maybe I would walk in there again. But yeah, the Hailey Bieber smoothie. I mean, the only way I'd feel good about that is if it were like my breakfast. Like, I'm having the smoothie for breakfast.
If she did something really heinous, would they rename the smoothie?
They would take it off
and just rename it later. They'd change, like,
they'd have to reformulate it. So
we put cardamom in it. So
now, or instead of coconut, instead of like almond milk, it's like oat milk, and then they just call it like
the Chloe K.
The strawberry oat glaze smoothie.
The Odom oat glaze.
Is there a famous what goes with oat?
Goat.
Oh no, the Quaker man.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be the Quaker Glaze or something.
Oh, you mean they don't name it after somebody else that's
They change the base milk and then name it after something. Okay, we received a lot of comments pertaining to Sound of Freedom, and if we're going to review it. I know you asked me about it. I don't remember, but you said I wasn't interested. At this point, we're not going to make a video for it.
No.
I'm not interested in paying to see it now. I guess if it came to streaming for free, I would watch it and maybe we could talk about it on the podcast. But because people are saying it's like propaganda, and I'm just
it sounds like propaganda.
I don't know anything about
it. What it's about?
No, so I'm not interested in talking about.
I'm not also a Jim Caviezel fan so much. I do like Mira Sorvino. I'd rather we rewatch Mighty Aphrodite, but whatever.
It also takes a lot of effort to talk about stories like Pretty Baby or anything that is like divisive.
About sex trafficking.
Just anything that's like a hot button issue. It takes a lot of energy to talk about it, and I don't always have that energy. Talking about Pretty Baby was exhausting.
It was.
Well, just because it's like I want to be very mindful and considerate, and I don't want to say the wrong thing out of just because that was a live video, and then my defaults try to be funny, like make a joke out of things, and some topics aren't funny. So it's like, well, how do I try to seem engaging while talking about something that's not funny? So, yeah. Then there was a question. We got 2 questions about your favorite Bond films.
You know what? That is a kind of a blind spot for me. I've only seen a handful.
I've only seen the Daniel Craig ones, and then I remember with some old friends of ours, we were at their place and we watched one. I recall, like a Pierce Brosnan one, maybe in Playa Vista.
We did. I did recently watch.
Because remember they had the box set because one of them was really into it.
I watched Goldeneye on my own.
Which is the one with Halle Berry?
Tomorrow Never Dies.
With the guy with the diamonds in his face. Didn't we watch that together?
I have never seen the Halle Berry one.
Oh.
Or neither, where Denise Richards is Christmas Jones. The World Is Not Enough. I have seen all of the Daniel Craig ones except for Quantum of Solace. I've never watched
Wait, so that means I haven't watched it.
Well, that came out before we met, so...
Then, yeah, I didn't watch that.
Okay, that's the one
so I haven't seen the first one.
No. The first... Quantum of Solace, I believe, is the second Daniel Craig.
What's the first one?
The one that Martin Campbell directed with Ava Green. Casino Royale.
So I've seen Casino Royale. So I've seen the first one, but not the second one.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
And then, of course, what's the... Shirley Bassey singing Goldfinger? I've seen that...
Oh, so you really can't name your top 5 then?
Is it Dr. No?
How many Bond films are there?
Oh my God, there's 30-something at least.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? Well, so you weren't able to accurately provide.
No, I would. No, I have a lot of catching up to do. I haven't seen the Timothy Dalton one that he did. I don't really like Roger Moore. But Grace Jones is in, is it License to Kill, where she's Mayday. I've always meant to, it just seems like there's never a good time. I'm never in the mood to watch James Bond.
I'm not interested in attempting to catch up with every James Bond movie.
I would, but I feel like they have to be spaced out because I think a lot of them blur together.
I'd have to be paid to do that. If someone wants to commission us to make videos for every James Bond movie, I would do it. But it wouldn't be cheap.
Or what's the Kim Basinger was a Bond girl. I'm infinitely more interested in all the Bond girls.
Sure, yeah. Oh, and the villains. Because I recall Javier Bardem being really fun.
Well, because he's gay.
He's kind of a poofster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next. People want to know our thoughts. I mean, probably really just your thoughts on the writer and actor strike.
Oh,
there were several questions. So I'm like putting them all together. Like, what do we think about the writers and actors strike, and if we think that'll affect the quality of film and TV moving
I
forward.
think it will. I'm hoping there's a positive effect because there's just a lot of bullshit that we in the quality of things, and I don't know if the industry needs a. I think the industry needs a hard reset, but it's just so shitty. We've left the Writers Guild out there for so long, and even after that strike, the Directors Guild, inked some very notable deal. There was that I saw some meme about from Titanic when Billy Zane grabs that child so he can get on a boat. That's kind of what the Directors Guild did.
So,
So yeah, I'm glad that they have. I hope that it means we can make some progress, and I think it'll set some important precedents because the world has changed since the last time these bargaining units put anything down in writing. So that needs to be considered, and people need to be paid what they're worth and paid for royalties. And the shit they're trying to do with AI is kind of scary.
well, I have strong feelings about employees banding together to get what they deserve. I feel like more people need to do that. I feel like all of these low wage workers who work in these neighborhoods they can't afford to live in,
Mm-hmm.
they need to go on strike. That, if all of a sudden West Hollywood and Beverly Hills didn't have low wage workers to basically provide all the services these people use,
Mm-hmm.
things would change. So I'm very much supportive of people banding together to advocate for themselves. I don't know much about the writer strike. I probably have more firsthand understanding of the actor strike because when I was doing hair, and I would do a lot of actors' hair, like,
Mm-hmm.
and they would talk about their pay, and I don't think people realize because writers it's a little more ambiguous, and people like what this is why maybe transparency and people's salaries and wages should be uh, more visible, because I think with actors it's it sounds impressive to say like, oh, you're like a secondary lead in a maybe like a cable TV show or something. And so if you get paid like $8,000 an episode, that sounds like a lot of money. But that's maybe over the course of 3 months. You shoot 10 episodes, you get $8,000. So now you've made $80,000. That's probably your only gig for the year. So $80,000 is a decent salary for a year. But then you think you're responsible for taking care of your own taxes. You have to pay a manager. There are a lot of other, like a lot of that money comes out of. So what you're left with is not that much.
Not that much. Yep.
And let's just say you end up with 50,000 of earnings that you can use to live for a year. Getting 50,000 over the course of 3 months versus 12 months is very different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you're not working and you're just sitting around, also, these people have to maintain their appearance. So they're spending money on trainers and trying to eat right. And that shit is not cheap.
No.
And then they don't have benefits because you have to work a certain amount of hours.
Yep. So, same with the Writers Guild. You have to have written something in a certain period of time to retain health benefits. Mm-hmm.
But this is also a bigger issue because a lot of the so then there's that. Then it's like the industries have changed, right? Just like the music industry, when digital happened and we were able to acquire music differently, people's money changed drastically, right? So
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, people who have songs that get streamed millions of times only make tens of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But you think an artist like a Madonna or Janet Jackson selling 10 million records, they made like $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the money is very different now. So that had to change, and it didn't change for the better. So I think that these actors and writers are smart to try to get ahead of the curve
Mm-hmm.
with like what you mentioned, like this AI shit and forcing writers to sort of write in bulk. But then that goes to the consumer because the quality of a lot of this shit is horrible.
It is.
And these platforms are forced to just crank out shit. There's so much content that it's unrealistic to think that every person involved is getting paid a living wage, is being taken care of, like getting paid enough to live from year to year, have benefits like health insurance and 401k. That's just not possible. So I think the quality is affected, and
that might mean less things get made. That might,
yeah,
I don't know.
or we have to pay more for things like
Again, yeah, I don't know. I think we need to get away from people just thinking that cinema and entertainment is frivolous and throwaway, because I think that's to me, the driving force behind something like, Marvel and DC and all these comic book things. People have been trained to expect that there's just going to be more, there's just going to be a reset, they're just going to redo all this shit, and I'm going to go sit in front of a screen and immediately forget everything I saw just so I can have my eyes glazed over for 2 hours. So to do what? I don't know why. Like, why are we here watching this bullshit that we don't retain memory of or knowledge of, that has no impact, no cultural impact?
well, I don't know if that's fair. People find it entertaining, and everyone does shit that other people would say doesn't make sense. You're allowed to like it. I'm talking more like from a business model standpoint. I don't understand how these streaming platforms can sustain if membership has to be way up there, but then you have to keep cranking out content. So it's like fast fashion. Netflix is like Forever 21.
It's ready to wear
It's
cinema.
just crap shit that's being slapped together very quickly.
Again, there is some stuff that does, because even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. So there is some inevitable talent or passion that comes across in some of these films, but inevitably you get a lot of things that, like, where the special effects look the same, everything kind of has this cheap sheen.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that from like to take care of the employees, when you have so many people working on projects, there's no way that this business model can treat these people
No, what
like fairly as far as compensation goes. There are just too many.
like, we're forced to, if you want to watch the after credit sequences, say all these superhero movies. I mean, I think part of the purpose of that is for audiences to realize, look at all of the hands that were on deck here. Like, it's minutes. There's hundreds, thousands of names on some of
And
these
I'm not
things.
saying that Netflix isn't making money. It's just that it's a business and they have to make a certain profit. They need to show growth. So, right, their earnings are very important. And no one's out here talking about we want to take all of our profits and put them back into our employees. And I think that's the problem. It's like no one's investing in the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then people should get upset and people should strike. And
They should, but again, to go back to the consumer, like all these people sharing Netflix passwords, pay for your own damn account. Then, like, do you want Netflix to have better material? Well, I mean, that's part of the give and take of this process. Is they need to make money to funnel it towards their projects, but when you have all these people, cheating the system, and again, that goes back to quality of life and how we don't have people don't have quality of life. I don't know. So why wouldn't you cheat the system? It just,
yeah, I think there's a bigger problem.
yeah.
It's just like these platforms, these streaming platforms, I don't think as a business model makes sense as far as quality of content and content creators, everyone involved being treated well. Because I don't know how many subscribers any of these have, but it's like if you have a few million subscribers paying $10-20 a month, that sounds like a lot of money. But then, like you said, when you have thousands and thousands of people working on these projects, I don't know how,
I mean,
unless you have computers doing everything. And that's why you see the quality of a lot of, especially Netflix stuff. It's just like cookie cutter,
we
fast.
we live in LA. There are many actors that I've met since we've lived here, like character actors, for instance. These people are renting or sharing living spaces in, Koreatown, like it's not a
It's not as
sustainable.
glamorous
It's not
as,
glamorous at all.
and there are people who like are recognizable, who do
Hmm.
not have, they're not living the life you would think. But we need to take a break. Let's move on to films released we didn't cover.
Uh-huh.
There were comments about a film called A Fire.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even know what that is.
Well, you passed on anything that we didn't cover on these lists. You received the lists, dear listeners. That Joseph
I
receives the
can't
list.
watch everything.
I didn't ask you to, but you have knowledge of what's coming, and you say what you'll agree to watch or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so you passed on A Fire. It's the latest Christian Petzold film. There are some gay elements about it. I was very enthusiastic about seeing. I saw it out in Berlin. It was in the competition. I liked it. Didn't love it. I think for once it has a pretty good role for Paula Bier, who I guess has now replaced Nina Haas in Christian Petzold's lexicon. But it's okay. The lead character is very unlikable. But I would say it's worth a watch. I didn't love it enough to press it upon you that you should see this. We did cover Undina on the YouTube channel. Speaking of Petzold, but he is a favorite of mine. I love Yella. Phoenix is phenomenal. Ghosts, yeah. Christian Petzold is anything he does is must see to me.
Next, Black Ice.
This is a documentary about, guess what? Another institution that's rife with racism, hockey, directed by Hubert Davis.
I do remember looking at this, but I thought it would just, I wasn't in the mood to be upset, so I didn't want to watch. And then Lakota Nation versus United States.
Also a documentary. It's about the Lakota Nation's attempts to reclaim control over the Black Hills. It's directed by Jesse Short Bull and Laura Tomaselli, I believe, making their documentary debut.
There's one more, 2 Tickets to Greece.
I did watch this. I think Greenwich Entertainment's releasing it, and I was going to write for us for Fish Jelly on it, but I haven't. Maybe I will do that today.
Speaking of Greece, on my Instagram, I see several people who I follow on Instagram are in Greece now.
Okay.
So I wonder if now is prime time for people to visit Greece, and maybe that's why this film came out.
Maybe it's a French film. It's from Marc Fitoussi, who I quite like. He's directed Isabelle Huppert a couple times. Copacabana is kind of fun. Paris Follies is okay. And he also directed a movie with Sandrine Kiberlin I thought was really cute called Pauline Detective. But this film is about a pair of ladies, Olivia Cote and Laura Calamni, who are reunited. They were like junior high school friends, and Olivia Cote has grown into be kind of like a Debbie Downer, and her husband's left her for a younger woman, and her teenage son, who has just moved away to college, is tired of her attitude, so constructs this reunion with this old friend of hers who she seemingly can't stand, and circumstances bring them on this trip to Greece. And I actually thought it had some really touching moments about growing older, about friendships, and it has a nice little kooky role for Kristen Scott Thomas in there.
Projects of interest.
I didn't have any.
I had one. So Jamie Foxx and Colin Firth are producing a documentary on Luther Vandross.
Okay.
Which I'm excited about. Apparently production's underway. I was trying to read about it. Sounds like, well, his estate is involved, and it sounds like we might get, it seems like it's going to mostly highlight how spectacular his career was. Like, people may not realize how much writing he did for other artists, and I don't know how much it'll get into his personal life, but I also know there's like a biopic in the works as well, which would also excite me. I don't know anything about that, but yeah, I would love if we can get a morsel of his personal life, because of course Luther Vandross was gay, but that was not part of his public persona while he was alive.
You know, they would not dare make a film now and override that.
I hope not, but you never know.
Whoever makes that film and tries to downplay that's going to be eviscerated.
I could see the documentary avoiding that, but I think if they're going to make a film, it's like, come on, he can't be this like neutered asexual person, because his public image was that he sang all these love songs, but then I think because he was like a fluffy guy who was obviously very like soft, and it was just one of the. I mean, it was very Barry Manilow, Liberace. Like, oh, we don't really.
We're just gonna ignore
We're just gonna
this.
pretend that.
Ricky Martin too. Like we're just
Well,
ignoring.
Ricky Martin's a little more. I mean, he's obviously much more attractive than a lot of other, or like a George Michael. They were
Mm-hmm.
attractive in that way. So I think that allowed people to see them. Like, I love Luther's music. I don't know how many women found him like sexually
What
attractive.
was that? Those the background singers in 20 Feet from Stardom were like, "There's Luther. There'd be Luther. He'd be singing like an angel, sweating like a pig." Poor thing.
But yes. Anyway, moving on to films we watch for fun. The Gift.
The Gift. After I watched The Dead Zone with my sister, we were inspired to watch this Sam Raimi film from the year 2000, which I probably haven't seen since then. And I had very good memories of liking this film. And I have to say, I don't know that it's quite aged well, but I haven't watched Kate Blanchett in kind of this period, this era of her career for a while. And it's funny watching her look so young, but she's really good. It was written by Billy Bob Thornton. It's about a psychic who is tasked with finding this girl who's murdered, who's really the town whore, played by Katie Holmes,
The Town
but whose
Whore.
daddy is rich, of course, and who she has a weird flirtation with too. And Gary Cole and Keanu Reeves is not good at playing a redneck. I don't know what I don't know how good he is really at anything besides looking good, but he can't. I don't know. Hilary Swank is kind of laughable as once again playing this white trash person, and Giovanni Ribisi. Anyway, that I don't. It was just okay, but it's worth a watch. I do like Sam Raimi. Mm.
Just a Gigolo.
This was terrible, terrible. I remember having to go out of my way circa 2004 to find a bootleg copy of this because, of course, I'm a Marlene Dietrich nut. Um, and I think the quality of the copy I had was so bad I never watched it. But sometime I think in 2020 or somewhere, someone put this out on Blu-ray. I think maybe somebody, Kino Lorber maybe. So I've had the Blu-ray sitting here forever, and my sister likes David Bowie, and we watched it. So it stars David Bowie, someone named Sidney Rome, who I'm not familiar with, and it's set during World War One. David Bowie's a Prussian soldier, and he ends up going back home with no skills, nothing to do, and becomes, as the title suggests, which is named after a famous song, just a gigolo. And he starts working for this establishment run by Marlene Dietrich, who came out of a 2-decade-long retirement. God knows why. I think she was promised that she could sing the title song. It was a very much a Berlin production, which makes no goddamn sense because it's in English. Everybody has accents. Sidney Rome is terrible, who was born in Ohio. David Bowie seems lost in it, and it was directed by and also starring David Hemmings, and who's also trying to be this prototype for the Nazi party, like all wrapped up in one character. Dietrich was like self-exiled because she never, after she fled Berlin and never came back, and so she was in Paris, and she would not leave Paris, so shot her scenes there. So all of her, you can tell that it's edited in a way with her scenes with Bowie, because they're not actually in the room together. And everybody that was involved with this movie hated it. I don't know. If you would like any of these people, it's worth a while. Oh, and then Kim Novak. Remember I sent you that screenshot of her because she looks like one of your old coworkers.
Oh. Next, A Z and Two Knots.
God, I love this movie. I love Peter Greenaway, and I haven't watched this in years and years and years. And it was just put on Blu-ray courtesy of Kino Lorber, and they sent me a copy. And I watched this with my sister, and it is a batshit crazy movie that has so much symbolism and subtext, ultimately, that maybe don't really mean anything, but as a visual experience, this is it. I love it. It's my second favorite Greenaway film. The title means zoo. A Z and two O's is basically what that means.
That's clever.
I think that you would be highly entertained by this film as well. yeah, that's all. I'm supposed to write about it, but we'll see if I get there.
Night Games.
Okay, so I was supposed to write about this too because Criterion put out a 3-disc My Zetterling collection, and I had already spoken on the podcast at least of Loving Couples. I think her debut. She was a Swedish actress turned director turned actress again, but this is Night Games, and it was 1966, and I read somewhere that John Waters considers this his favorite film. So I was like, oh, to my sister, I'm like, we need to watch this, and it does have a doozy of some things that I can see why John Waters loved this movie. I think I liked Loving Couples more personally, but Ingrid Tulin as this wealthy bitchy mother, because it's about this man who's now an adult and he's kind of a ladies' man is abusive, but he brings his newest bride to be back to his palatial estate where he grew up. And right away, he's like, oh, I had an indescribably happy childhood. Anytime somebody says something like that, it's like, I know you lying. And then there's a quick dissolve to him being a child. So it's kind of a memory poem of a film. So he's memorizing all these situations with his mother. And it's very daring, especially for 1966. I also read apparently Shirley Temple resigned from the San Francisco Film Board because the film festival played this film there, and she said it was pornography. There are things in this film. Yeah, it's really worth a watch. I think if you like weird, bizarre, daring cinema in Ingrid Tulin, watch it.
How to Be a Good Wife.
I hated this movie. It's 2020 release from Martin Provost, who I believe is Belgian, and I've never seen his big his breakout film was Serafina with Yolanda Moreau, who's also in this film. Yeah, it stars Juliette Binoche. It's set in right as France is about to change drastically in the eve of May 1968, and it's about a prim and proper lady played by Binoche who runs kind of like a girls' boarding school who teaches young women to be good wives. So keep them in their place and feel inferior. And then of course with the political shakeup going on in the country is also a metaphor for things happening amongst the girls here, including a young girl discovering her lesbianism, played by the lead of that Audrey Dewan film, the abortion movie Happening. Yolanda Moreau is also in it. Noemi Lvovsky, who I also quite like, is in it. Ultimately, I just really didn't like it.
Wild Style.
This is essentially the first narrative feature about hip hop. Released in 1982, directed by Charlie Ahern. It's centered on the story of a graffiti artist who is, I think, hired to paint for an upcoming concert. But there are so many interesting things in this and people in this movie that are of the period. And of course, it was released just prior to Stan Lathan's Beat Street, but which you watched with me a couple weeks ago, and this is in relation to an article I've been commissioned to write. So I'll save saying more about it because I'll be writing about it.
Crush Groove.
Same goes with Crush Groove. Crush Groove I like. Crush Groove I think is a lot of fun. That's technically the first hip hop musical, and it's loosely based on the life of Russell Simmons, who's played by Blair Underwood. Sheila E., I think, is a lot of fun in this. The soundtrack, I think, is great. Directed by Michael Schultz. I think this is before The Last Dragon, obviously after Cooley High. I like Michael Schultz. I think he's a lot of fun. There's a big difference. I had watched Rappin' with Mario Van Peebles recently, and I want to say that Rappin' is really ripping off Crush Groove, including even there's a scene of did you see it on my Instagram where they're rapping about eating at the Sparrows buffet? Mm-hmm. There's a scene where that's very similar in rapping that is really bad, and it's just funny how charming I think Crush Groove is because it's from within the culture instead of somebody trying to capitalize upon the culture. But anyway,
Brooklyn Babylon.
This is This is kind of like West Side Story, which of course Romeo and Juliet meets Jungle Fever. It's about a Rastafarian rapper that falls in love with a Jewish girl, and of course their communities do not get along. And it's also kind of conjuring the issues that were going on several years prior in Crown Heights. This is the film was released in 2001. It's worth a watch.
Perpetrator.
This was an Outfest film I saw Friday nights, directed by Jenifer Reeder, whose first film I liked well enough, Knives Plus Skin, which I could rewatch. I'd say that's worth watching. This was in Berlin, and I missed all the screenings of it, and then the buzz about it was I was fine missing it. But it played it, at Outfest at the Red Cat Theater, and Jenifer Reeder was there. I felt bad because the actor strike just happened, and her cast couldn't be with her. And
Roxanne.
I'm okay.
We're running out of time.
Anyway, I didn't like Perpetrator.
Okay.
I think there's some interesting ideas. Alicia Silverstone is giving a camp performance that's worth watching, but it just does not gel together for me. Roxanne is it's kind of a biopic about rapper Roxanne Shante. Have you heard of her?
No.
Oh, okay. This movie is really worth watching. It was released on Netflix in 2018. It's directed by Michael Larnell. Great lead performance from Shantae Adams, Mahershala Ali. Shantae Adams Nia Long plays her mama, and she kind of looks like she could be Nia Long's girl. But it, has a lot of depressing things going on in there. But I liked it.
Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead.
Oh my God. This movie, is it Gary Flater's? Is that his name? Debut right before he did Kiss the Girls, which I also didn't like. This has a fantastic cast led by Andy Garcia, and you got Christopher Walken and Steve Buscemi and Fairuza Balk and Jack Warden. Treat Williams. A whole other bunch of principles in there that are interesting. But this feels very much like one of those scripts that was greenlit after the success of Pulp Fiction, that's trying to capitalize on these nefarious characters with lots of intersecting storylines, but none of them I think in this are really that interesting. I hated Gabrielle Anwar and this fucking romance she's supposed to have with Andy Garcia. It's just so stupid. I remember my dad bitching about this movie, renting it. I did not like this movie.
Lastly, Munchie.
And you stayed up with me last night to watch Munchie, which the Mystery Science Theater treatment of it, directed by Jim Wynorski, who, besides the Munchie films, directed like R-rated erotic dramas.
Not good.
Ooh, it's pretty bad. It's about a young boy who is wandering. He's wandering around in like some abandoned area and finds a box that speaks to him, saying, "Please let me out." And the boy says, "Okay, you can come out of this box." And it's
the problem with this movie is the director is known for making softcore porn.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, so this movie that you would think is for children has this like Skinamax vibe to it. Then the main character, this like little creature, is voiced by a middle-aged man, Dom DeLuise.
Dom DeLuise, yeah.
And the doll is so creepy.
I don't know if it looked, I kept thinking it looked like Ice-T, but it's because I think in my mind's eye, I'm thinking that character Ice-T voiced in Space Truckers.
I thought it looked like the comedian George Wallace, but
God.
It's so creepy. And then the way it holds its hands and fingers and the way it uses
apparently it does the boy's bidding.
It's there's a lot of innuendo. I don't know if it's intentional.
Munchie is creepy, and apparently I think the script forgot that one of the tics of Munchie is that he likes to eat, because every now and then they talk about food, but it's very sparingly. And then the boy's mother is played by Lonnie Anderson.
We just watched something where I said that the character Sigourney is in a movie where she's a
Ghostbusters
2, where it's like she couldn't be less motherly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Lonnie Anderson might beat her because she just seems so unconcerned about her son.
And this is also the debut of Jennifer Love Hewitt, who is credited as Love Hewitt.
Who all she does in this movie is give a creepy, like she keeps smiling creepily.
Yeah, she's the
Ugh.
object of the main boy's attention. The main boy made me so uncomfortable. He reminded me of Millie Bobby Brown.
And the writing feels like
It's
a 50-year-old gay man wrote the dialogue for all the kids and the bullies in high school. One of the kids seems gay, like the bully, and then his best friend is like the star quarterback who speaks like he's going to give a speech at the British Parliament. Like I don't know why they're talking this way.
it's so stupid. I mean, I feel like you couldn't watch this film without the Mystery Science Theater track.
No. Well, thankfully there are no entries in the obituary section, so we'll take a quick break. Today's secret movie was, I mean, I think it should have been your choice. I don't know. We got a little flubbed up because we had to do something different last week. But yesterday was Jackie Washington Day. So, in honor of that, the movie we watched was Jackie's Back.
Directed by the legendary Robert Townsend. And this is the second Townsend film we've featured on the podcast.
The first is
Carmen, a hip opera, which is not
a good representation of his talent.
Of his work. But I love Hollywood Shuffle, which is now in the Criterion Collection. We're also big fans here of Holiday Heart,
which will definitely be a selection come the holiday time. But Jackie's Back is a 1999 television movie. It was made for Lifetime.
My God.
Straight out the gate, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. This is my kind of movie. It's funny. The cast list is out. I mean, I don't think a movie has a more impressive cast list.
It is insane, the number of people in this movie.
But let's talk about how we came to know this movie, because I remember going to like Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and seeing the cover of this movie, but not really knowing who Jenifer Lewis was. So I don't think she, I mean, I'm sure I would have recognized her from other films because she had quite a career prior to this movie, but not enough that I would have thought I need to watch it. So I think the first time I watched it was with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know what prompted us to do so.
Well, I bought it because I had written something with her in mind, if you remember, like a decade ago.
Oh, sure.
And I had showed that script to somebody and they said, oh, Jenifer, like, yeah, I could see Jenifer Lewis in this role. Have you ever seen Jackie's Back? I'm like, I haven't.
Oh.
And that was what prompted me to buy the DVD.
So the basic story: a British documentarian profiles a washed-up diva as she prepares for her comeback concert. So the British documentarian is played by Tim Curry, and the washed-up diva is Jenifer Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to read the opening of the film is Tim Curry as this documentarian named Edward Whatsit St. John. But the opening of the movie is him introducing us to his subject. When I was first approached to make a documentary about Jackie Washington, I thought they meant the legendary baseball player who famously broke the color barrier. Once I was set straight, I was compelled to ask, who is Jackie Washington precisely? Who is she? Former child star, pop diva, down and out boozing has-been. Those are the accepted preconceived notions. Join us for this no-holds-barred, in-depth portrait of the woman the French call La Washington. And then the song we get, so like the theme song is Jackie's Back, and I think it's so funny because it's basically saying like, I don't know where she's been, I don't know where she's at. All I know is Jackie's back. And then it just keeps going like, I don't know if she's right, I don't know if she's wrong, I don't know if she's back, I don't know if she's lost, I don't know if she's found, I don't know if she's high or low. But yeah, the story is very simple. We're just following for a period of time Jackie Washington
in the, I guess, days leading up to her comeback, which is the one night only concert in Hollywood.
That does not go well.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean, basically we follow her. She is delusional, but basically she was a child star in the 60s and then was a pop diva in the 70s. And then her career fell apart after some bad marriages and problems with drugs and alcohol.
And money problems.
So now it's just her. She has 2 children, but her one daughter, Entendre, who's played by
TV Blake.
She serves as Jackie's assistant. So everywhere Jackie is, there's Entendre at her beck and call.
Looking like a Maori sister.
But Jackie has another daughter, Shaniqua, played by Tangi Ambrose, and they are estranged because Shaniqua feels like all her mother ever cared about was herself. So, yeah, we just see her trying to convince Tim Curry that she's something special.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim Curry is so funny in this movie because he is so unimpressed by her.
Yeah.
And he's so shady with her, like calling out all her bullshit. But the end of the movie is this final performance, and it does not go well because, of course, Jackie's on her bullshit. No one's been paid. So everyone who's part of this concert, including the venue, they all say, we're not doing this. So they basically run her out of the venue, and she's like running, trying to escape the mob of people who want to, like, they're upset with her. The crew, the audience, everyone. So she gets backed into a corner in an alley, and then she sort of has her final monologue where she explains herself, and she has an epiphany that maybe she should have cared more about her family and less about other things. And then she sings a song, and then it would seem that she's back on track.
Mm-hmm.
So,
she sings a couple songs, like her greatest.
Yeah, her big hit from when she was a little girl is called Yield, Yield, Yield. It's supposed to be like a play on the Supreme.
Yes.
Stop in the name of love.
Yield, yield, yield.
But she, and then we find out that she and Tim Curry get married.
Mm-hmm.
We find out that her daughter Entendre becomes an entertainment manager, and two of her clients are Tito and LaToya Jackson. Her estranged daughter Shaniqua is now back in her life, and Shaniqua's teaching anger management courses. But let's go through. The cast is so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, Jenifer Lewis, Tim Curry, Whoopi Goldberg plays her sister. Loretta Devine plays her like best friend.
Mm-hmm. Snooki.
Tom Arnold, Julie Haggerty, David Hyde Pierce, Kathy Najimy. Kyla Pratt plays the younger version of Jenifer Lewis's character. Rudy Ray Moore, who people know as Dolomite, he's in the movie.
Well, because when Jenifer Lewis says, like, and Dolomite himself, I'm like, God, that is Rudy Ray Moore.
And it really is him. Isabel Sanford's in it. Mary Wilson from the Supremes. Richard Lawson, Beyonce's stepdaddy. Ronaldo Ray, a comedian I like. But it just keeps on going. Patty Austin, Charles Barkley, Diane Carroll, Eddie Cibrian, Jackie Collins, Don Cornelius. And these cameos are not just like we see their face. Like they're actually talking about Jackie Washington. So,
or some of them are playing characters too.
Or they're playing characters. But
Jo Beth Williams.
These aren't just like pulled, like stock footage of these people. They're actually talking about Jackie Washington. Taylor Dane, Melissa Etheridge, Kathy Griffin, Sean Hayes, Ricky Lake, Howie Mandel, Cameron Manheim's in it. She's funny. Penny Marshall has one of the funniest lines to me. But Bette Midler, who we know Jenifer Lewis had a working relationship with. Liza Minnelli's in it in a very funny moment. Rosie O'Donnell, Dolly Parton, Chris Rock.
Donna Pescow from Saturday Night Fever.
Eva Marie Saint.
Oscar winner, yep.
I don't know who Grace Slick is.
Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship. Don't You Want Somebody to Love?
Bruce Valanche.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Dolly Parton is in this movie, and she's in it a few times talking about Jackie Washington.
I think Diane Carroll's pretty fun too.
Yeah. But I'll just go through my notes. So one of the funniest moments to me is when Penny Marshall is being asked about Jackie Washington and her comeback. And Penny Marshall says, was she somewhere to come back to? Like, come back to what?
That's a very got to be real line.
Yes. Okay. The songs. So a lot of this character's work is a play on stuff that's like already popular. So like yield, 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 before you hit me with your love. She has a song called Eye on the Motherland or Cleveland. Wednesday Night Fever, Take Your Jerry Curl and Go. One of her bigger songs is from that movie, or from a movie called Stacked Sister. It's called Love Goddess.
Starring Raquel Welch.
Yeah, and we see her perform it at like some award show.
The Oscars.
Then the one movie you referenced with Rudy Ray Moore, that movie's called Whipped Cream, Coco's Revenge. She has a song called Coco's Theme.
Which is also play it probably on Lady Coco with Lola Falana.
Her big song is "Look at Me," which she performs at
that's the one, yes.
where she performs at the Oscars. And one of the lyrics to the song "Look at Me" is, "My love for you has only made me love me more." She has an album called "Sookie Sookie Mama," "Boogie Ball," "Working on My Last
Nerve,"
"Tore Up from the Floor Up," "Live from Compton," all her greatest hits. So I read Jenifer Lewis's autobiography, which was, for people who are familiar with Jenifer Lewis, you know that she's a lot. Like she's a character actor for a reason.
I liken her to Elaine Stritch.
Oh, it's just she's loud and she takes up a lot of space. Even reading her book was exhausting because it's just every paragraph is a lot.
Well, listening to her on RuPaul's podcast.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you, I forget what, RuPaul used to have a podcast with Michelle Visage called What's the Tea? And if you want a headache, listen to the Jenifer Lewis episode. Even RuPaul has to tell her a few times, like, you need to slow down and calm down. But so I'm very familiar with her. I read her book. I've watched, I mean, she's in so many classic Black films. She's often the mom or the auntie. We reviewed, I mean, she's Juana Man's auntie, right? But
Poetic Justice. Boys in the Hood.
Oh, so many things. But we also know that the drag queen Shangela used to live with Jenifer Lewis. When Shangela first came to LA, he lived with her. And there's actually like a YouTube series about the two of them living together. But if you know Shangela and you don't know Jenifer Lewis, you need to watch Jenifer Lewis because you'll realize that Shangela, that drag character, is Jenifer Lewis.
She's borrowed that template.
Like she's literally just doing a Jenifer Lewis impersonation. And I think Shangela did Jenifer Lewis on Snatch Game.
She did. One, I think.
And it was, I mean, she is exactly like Jenifer Lewis.
Jenifer Lewis. It's funny. Jenifer Lewis was also always like painted as older or like portrayed as older than she was. Because even in Jackie's Back, she's only 42.
She looks fantastic.
She looks great.
But the way she's playing it, you would think she's in her 50s.
Yes. And Taylor Dane makes some kind of comment about
back when she knew her, she was in her 50s.
Yeah, I was like,
like what?
She's not even in her 50s yet, girl.
Bette Midler talks about Jackie saying that that she was so offended by Jackie because she told her that all white people smell like wet potato chips.
So she doesn't hug them.
So the most famous line from this movie, I would say, is Jackie's daughter's name is Entendre. And there's a moment when Jackie tells Entendre, Mama needs her cough medicine and make it a double entendre. Of course, saying she wants an alcoholic beverage. Oh my gosh. David Hyde Pierce plays the piano.
The deaf pianist.
The deaf pianist who's performing at her comeback concert. And he's funny. He's really cute, actually.
She tells him to be more black. Which means he interjects things like, oh, girl.
Yeah. So we find out she was married 4 times, but she doesn't want to talk about any of them. We only see one of them, which is Richard Lawson, who's a basketball player.
Who she stabbed with a hair pick.
Which is very like Left Eye TLC burn the house down because so he had to drop out of the NBA because he couldn't walk straight or something. But we found out her third husband was gay.
I think one of my favorite scenes with Loretta Devine.
Oh my God. Loretta Devine, first of all, has on like a Baps wig.
Yeah, that does look
like
Baps.
Halle Berry and Baps.
Yep.
All these kids running around talking about how, like, all the things Jackie's done for her, including buying her a refrigerator. But she wants a refrigerator with an ice machine. And then she's talking about, I hear her music on the radio. Every time a song is played, she gets a check. All she has to do is give me one check and I can get me a refrigerator with an ice machine.
Yeah, she seems manic on the point of breaking down, but she's got all these kids and they're being raggedy.
Loretta's very funny in this. Liza Minnelli.
They were in dry cleaning together.
Oh, that's right. That's a movie I thought I should make a secret film, actually. Liza is really funny because she talks about having these like dinner parties, and one time Jackie Washington showed up and would sing and started singing
and wouldn't
stop singing. And then she's like, my Oscar ended up going missing. And then we find out that Jackie has it. But she's saying that as a doorstop, but she's saying Liza gave it to her. But the Liza moment is funny because she's saying, yeah, when I went to hug her, she gave me this very stiff-armed hug. And, I'm really not up on the culture. And I don't know what these African American, and then you can tell that they cut it like she probably says something racist. And so that was very funny. Then we go to Jackie's, because no one likes Jackie Washington. Tim Curry's telling her, like, no one wants to talk to us about you. And when they do, they're talking shit. So Jackie says, well, why don't you go back to my hometown? Because everyone loves me back in Kinloch, Missouri.
She goes, talk to those people.
Talk to those people. They all love me. So, and that's when we find out that Jackie Washington Day is in Kinloch, Missouri, and it's July 15th. So they go back to Kinloch, and Tim Curry, and as soon as Tim Curry and Jackie Washington and Entendre get onto her block, these kids run up to her and they mistake her for
Nichelle Nichols. They're like,
Star Trek.
She goes, do I look like a hura?
And they go, yeah.
She goes, go ask your mamas who I am.
Go ask your mamas. They know. And then she goes back to her play mama's house, played by Isabel Sanford. And Isabel goes off on her.
She is
calling
also
her a nasty little girl. And
she's also so far away.
And she's screaming at her. And then
from across the yard.
And Tim Curry's there. And she's like, and don't bring that white man in my yard. They smell like wet potato chips. Oh, so the speaking of the play mama, after she goes off on her, Jackie's trying to explain to Tim Curry, like, well, she's as crazy as a road lizard.
She goes, I heard she lost her mind.
Another thing Jackie likes to tell people is that her great-great-grandmother and grandfather were slaves belonging to George Washington. Like, that's her claim to fame.
Oh, yeah. Whoopi is her older, angry, bitter sister.
Bitter. Very bitter. And Jackie paid for her to go to nursing school.
And she acknowledges this.
So she acknowledges that, but she's mad.
But she's like, I hate to say this, but every Jackie Washington Day it rains.
So when we finally get into the theater to start rehearsing, Jackie's costume designer is this gay man who's a drag queen named Kim.
Yeah.
Who's really funny. And then her rehearsing like Love Goddess, she needs like 4 muscly men to play like Egyptian gods, carrying her on her throne. And then we get these 4 like skinny, nerdy looking guys.
She's like, who are these little boys?
Who are these little boys? And they all look scared of her. And then she's like, the lighting's not right. And she's telling the lighting people, like, I need those bastard amber lights on stage. And she's so dramatic. I think Jenifer Lewis as Jackie Washington is doing an impersonation of Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford.
Oh, it's very in that same vein.
It's very that.
Oh, yes.
I think if you like Mommy Dearest, if you find Mommy Dearest funny, you would find Jackie's Back funny.
And then Tim Curry's asking everybody about if she's a diva, and Diane Carroll goes, diva was a word made up by some gay man. Which, is the best explanation of that word I think I've ever heard.
Then we find out, like, sort of back when her popularity was failing, like in the 80s or the 90s, I don't know when, but Jackie Washington made a line of hair relaxer that she was telling people you could eat.
Because it was made with like pickle juice.
Because there's pickle juice in it, but it was making people sick, and like it made Dolly Parton's dog sick or something. So Dolly Parton's suing her. And but then we get a scene where Jackie's like, yeah, that was a really hard time in my career. I think I might still have a couple of jars on a shelf somewhere. And then she opens up, like, there's an entire spare bedroom filled with cases of this relaxer. And then she goes to taste it. And it like burns her mouth. Then every time we see Shaniqua, her estranged daughter, she is so mad.
Yep.
And she refers to her mother's house as a tower of lies.
and Shaniqua has a kid, and the kid's like, are you talking about grandma again? She's like, don't call her that. Don't catch her on film calling her that.
Oh, yeah. And then he calls her, so little boy has to call his grandma Jackie. Then one of her husbands, Peaches...
Peaches Yancey,
who was known for eating anything. And then we get a picture of him smiling with food in his teeth. We find out that he died from eating salmon patties from a vending machine.
And isn't it Shaniqua's like, but mama told me, don't you ever eat with Peaches. He'll eat anything.
Yeah.
What?
So at the theater on the day she's supposed to give her comeback tour, everything goes wrong. We find out that her Cameron Manheim, for some reason, sends her like a telegram saying that her manager stole all of her money. And then when Shaniqua finds out, she goes, again?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's all I have. I think this. So I think it's the writing is very strong. Comedically, it's funny. I think to get all of these people in it, and they're all funny,
and you get Patty Austin singing a gospel song at a funeral.
At a funeral, yeah. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, and it's probably a testament to how much people love Jenifer Lewis.
Well, Robert Townsend has been around,
because I'm sure they were able to get all these people on the strength of Jenifer Lewis and the impression she made, right? Because Penny Marshall directed Jenifer Lewis in a movie, so she agreed to do it. After reading her book, and I read her book after I'd watched this movie, so there's a story about each and every one of these people. So at some point in her career, she interacted with some of these people more than others.
Sure.
Like she has a much closer relationship to Bette Midler, who she used to sing backup with. So getting Bette Midler on, of course, was less difficult. But yeah, it's really, really impressive.
What's sad is she got nominated for what, like a Black Reel Award? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just also a testament to how ignored and overlooked I think she was.
If I had a New Beverly type situation like Quentin Tarantino, I would definitely screen. This would be like how he likes to show Showgirls and shit. And of course, he likes to show his own movies a lot. This would definitely be one that would be a regular. Like, it's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's surprising to learn it was a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's 2 hours long and it clips by.
I mean, all of her scenes with Tim Curry are...
Oh my God, Tim Curry is so bitchy. Just all the looks. Every time she says something, he looks at the camera and smirks like, yeah, right. And then at one point towards the end, she's like, because at first she thinks that he's like he doesn't like her. And then she starts to sort of say, like, I know you find me attractive. And then at a point you think, because at one point he reacts to her in a way that, like, he's trying to tell her something. So I always assume like, oh, he's trying to tell her he's gay. But then in the end, in the credits, you see that they got married, which doesn't mean he's not gay, because she did marry a gay man.
This is true.
But
what does Wanda Sykes say in Monster in Law? Let's marry a gay man again. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. So what would you give this movie?
I give it a 4.
Yeah. It's very much my flavor. I think it's a perfect film for my taste, so I'm definitely giving it 5 out of 5. There's nothing about it that I think could have been done better.
God, most of these people are still around. Robert Townsend's still around. Jenifer Lewis is still around. What about a sequel?
Man. Well, and then I think this is also a perfect film because it's the perfect use of this actor, because Jenifer Lewis is such a strong flavor.
Well, you can just let her rip.
That the only way you could really temper her is to have her in a film where there's so much star power that somehow it all works. No one's that's the other thing. No one's trying to one up each other because they're never in the same scene.
Right.
It's all just all these names we mentioned, they're all by themselves talking, like documentary style. So no one's competing with anyone. Everyone is funny. All the writing is funny. But yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, somebody needs to do fund a sequel to this.
Yeah. What do we have going on this week?
Oh my God, it's a very busy week. Yeah. I see something every night until Friday.
Well, I know I'm seeing...
Well, there's Oppenheimer, Barbie, Talk to Me, the Beanie Bubble Invasion or whatever that shit's called. I see tomorrow.
And then tomorrow I might go to the roast of Flame Monroe at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. Maybe. I don't know. I've only ever been there once, and it was kind of like... in general, comedy clubs are a little stressful because it's like there's rarely seating and there's always like a 2-drink minimum, and they're very aggressive. Like you can't just sit there, and it's like, well, I also can't keep drinking all night long.
Mm-hmm.
It is close enough that I could easily Uber over there, but we'll see if I end up going.
Okay. We have a couple of screeners to watch.
Yeah.
Cobweb, They Clone Tyrone, I got to watch today.
Yeah. Anyhow.
Oh, I finished reading Poor Things.
Oh, okay.
Which is about to be released in September by Yorgos Lanthimos, which was very interesting. I cannot wait to see what he's done with that. I did enjoy it. I would recommend reading it because it's kind of a Frankenstein story, but very interesting.
Well, do you have anything else you want to share?
No.
All right. Ta-ta.